So today I am doing a tag. So I got tagged in this a while ago, but I'm finally getting around to this. So this is, I should have had that ready, my magical YouTube journey. I think it was Ivy or Ivy's Grove who tagged me in this. I'm like 99.9% sure. I think that's her channel name. She knows what I'm talking about. There are 25 questions. Let's just jump in. Number 1, what is your channel name and the significance behind it? It's Night Willow Crafts. So my channel name is Night Willow Crafts. I love willow trees. They're one of my favorite trees. I like the night. And that's when I was first starting the craft, I did a lot of my magic was at night. And initially this was going to be a crafting, like witchcraft crafting channel. Needless to say, it's not that, but that's where it started. 2, what type of content do you create on your channel? For example, vlogs, educational, DIY, live streams, and so on. A bit educational, a lot of book reviews right now because I read a lot of books, write a lot of books. Like, books are kind of my life, so I've been doing a lot of book reviews, but I do other stuff as well. A little bit educational, a little bit kind of vlog-ish style, just kind of what I'm doing. Just kind of sharing my experience in the craft, really, because like that's all a book review is like my thoughts on it. So just little old me doing my own witchcraft over here. Number 3, what inspired you to start your channel? So when I started thinking about making a YouTube channel, it was way back in the day of like 2008, 2009. And like YouTube was just a brand new website that was just a little thing that you would go on to. Same with like Facebook and Grooveshark, and like there's some websites like Vampire Freaks that they've gotten rid of their community aspect, which sucks. Like back in the wild west of the internet days. And I remember watching like Charming Pixie Flora, Tiptoe Chick, The Shoe Whisperer, Charlie Says Go. Like there's a few that you would watch. And I was, like, mostly it was Charming Pixie Flora was the one that I mainly watched, and Tiptoe Chick. And when I would watch, well, and like Pagan, I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say your name, Olivia. But like, I used to watch those channels quite a bit. And I wanted to have a space where I could talk and not be interrupted. I know, it's such a stupid reason. But like, at the time, for years, anytime I was with a friend group, I would be interrupted, I would not be listened to, nobody cared. And like, looking at it now, and like the conversations that have been being had on like TikTok, where mental health is like a really big conversation over there, like it makes me question some things. Like, definitely, like I would say like the CPTSD thing probably is a big contributing factor, because like I didn't feel my age, but probably in a lot of ways I wasn't. Like, it's one of those where you're like, oh, they're acting so immature, but they're actually acting their age. And so anyways, the whole point is that when I was a teenager, I wasn't listened to by like any of my peer group at all. And like the witchy community was kind of the same thing. If you were a minor, nobody would talk to you. Nobody would give you the time of day, which sucked because you're like, great. So just when I turned this magical age in a couple years, suddenly now I'm allowed to be talked to? Great. That's a great way to build my esteem right now. So like, I just decided that I was going to start making YouTube videos, and that was my way that I was going to have a community to talk to be able to talk, have my full sentence said without being interrupted, and like typically have the conversation just ignore that I was even in existence. And yeah, that's kind of the main reason I started my channel. How long have you been on YouTube as a content creator? I started my channel in 2011. So yes, I'm one of the old school, old channels. Most of my old content I have privated and or deleted because like it's cringe, to be honest. But yeah, I've been around for a while, to say the least. And yeah, it does hurt the ego a little bit to see these new baby channels just pop up and then you're like, oh wow, okay, you passed my numbers. Cool, because this is more of like a businessy kind of tag, so it does hurt the ego a little bit. I'm doing better now, but every once in a while, especially the ones that are like really terrible people, and you're like, God, why? Why do you get to have the perks and be a dick? Like, there's a few that are like definitely like kind of cultish and are like totally like scamming people, and you're like, how did you get the monies? And I'm over here like not, and trying to be a genuine person. Okay. Number 5, what are your hobbies outside of your channel? I don't have hobbies. I work. That's what I do. So being self-employed and doing what I do, I don't have a lot of free time because my spare time is spent reading books for this channel or my other channel and writing books. That's what I do. So like if I'm not doing those things, I'm trying to decompress by like watching YouTube videos and like scrolling through my phone. And most of the time when I'm scrolling through my phone, I'm still working. I'm thinking, okay, is this like on TikTok, like, oh, this is a good sound. I should use this as a marketing strategy. Or, oh, this is a good song. I should put that over like my book. And like when I'm on Instagram, it's like, oh, this would be good content to share with my followers. Okay, gotta go find it on like the, not my account, but the like work account and post it there. And same on Facebook. So like I really don't have any hobbies outside of work because work is my life and I'm okay with that. Like I love what I do. This is what I've wanted to do my whole life. Like I've wanted to be a writer as long as I can remember, and so like YouTube is just one of the ways in which I'm making that possible so that people know that like I write books. Number 6, is there a new style of content that you want to try? Yes, actually. I don't know when this is gonna be a thing, if ever, but I have been so tempted to do some guided meditations because I cannot find the ones that I want. Like, there's like this one channel that I've been listening to for a while now, and like, while it's great, they are all the same, basically. And like, it kind of is like, so they always start off, whether it's a morning, midday, or evening, it's always like, get to this relaxed state, and it takes like 5 minutes, is what it feels like. And it's like, oh my god. If I just woke up, I promise you, I am still zen. Cause like, I do that, like, you go get ready, you get dressed, and then you do that meditation, and sometimes it's before I even get dressed. So like, I'm not awake yet, I haven't had caffeine yet, we're good. And like, in the evening, maybe, but also sometimes by that point you're just like exhausted, and you're like, yeah, I'm good. Can we like, speed it up? 10 minutes of a meditation and 5 minutes of it is sitting here, now relax your shoulders. It's like, stop it, just go. Oh my god, like, we're good, move on. Dude, got bigger things to focus on here. I want to be focusing on the thing of the meditation that I want to get to, not sitting here relaxing. Which is probably a sign that that's what you're supposed to do, but I feel like it takes too much time because like, I swear Pensac doesn't even go that slow working through like the relaxation phase of the meditation. So anyways, I would like to do those. I would like to do like a daily one for like the days of the week specifically, for like the seasons, the moon phase, like a few different magical intentions, stuff like that. I would love to do guided meditations, but like, I don't know if I'm going to, because I don't know, it's one of those things that I've been thinking about. 7, how do you plan out your content? Oh, let me show you my magical place where I live, which is my calendar of glory. Here's my calendar. It's magic. So, as you can tell, it's color-coded. Gray means I've done it. If I didn't have this calendar, I would be so lost. So, gray means it is uploaded, scheduled, done. It is, I don't have to think about it anymore. If it's orange, that's a public video for this channel. I actually only have it set to this channel content right now. I do have it for author content as well, that sometimes I'll turn on, but sometimes it's a lot of notifications to look at. So it's like, we'll just look at the one today. Purple is for Patreon. So Patreon usually is like, okay, so like I have some that are scheduled out. And so like, and I don't have it separated per tier. Purple is just Patreon. And then I think that's about it. So what I do is I will plan out a little bit in advance at times of like, okay, well I know I want to talk about like, for next month. I know that around the 21st I'm going to talk about Mabon. So I'm going to talk about my plans, have that video go up the day before Mabon, and I know I might not do my altar until the day of, or like right around that time. So I'm going to give myself space and say the 22nd is the day I set up my Mabon altar video. That's when that goes up because I'll probably do it on the 20th or the 21st. That gives me time and a cush, and then I can edit, have it uploaded, and ready to go. And like, I have some books planned and scheduled. I have some things that I'd like to talk about, and like, I just kind of put filler content sometimes of like, Witchiversary, because it'll be 14 years of a witch, maybe make a video about that on the day. And like, I've also got like, I've been working on like a Book of Shadows series thing, so it's like I'll just kind of throw them vague dates. As it gets closer, sometimes I rearrange. But yeah, that's kind of how I roll my life, because like, I do the same thing with my author content too. Like, it's a different color, but I just plan my uploads and what chapters I need to have done and when, and it all just lives here. If I didn't have Google to tell me my life, I would be lost. Number 8, what are your tools of the trade? Example, cameras, mics, lighting, software. Lighting, the sun. It's great. If the sun is not in cooperation, I have a lamp. It gives the yellow light. This is giving washed out vampire right now. So like, it's not a good setup. My camera is the Sony A5100. I think it has the A, or Sony 5100, I can't remember. It's an older camera. I bought it in like 2014 or 2015. So like, it's pretty old, but it has the flip up camera so I can make sure I'm in focus, that it's not focusing on like over here or over here. It has an auto focus on the person. Like, as I'm talking, it's got a little square around me to keep me in focus, and I love this camera. The only problem is that it overheats. Like, we're gonna have a cut here in a little bit because this, I've talked about it before, can only record about 15 minutes-ish both directions, and then it cuts the file and then it overheats at about 15 to 17 minutes. And then you have to let it underheat for quite some time, at least 10 minutes. And so while I let this underheat, that's when I go and get my steps for the day, is I'll just be like, all right, so we're gonna get another 1,000 steps. And by that point, usually I can come back to record for a little bit longer. Now, I don't know if there's gonna be a question. Oh, maybe it is software. Okay, the software I use to edit is called Camtasia, and I learned about that from one of my tech jobs. It's a kind of expensive program to get. Last time I bought it, it was like, I wanna say like $280 or something like that, 280 bucks. But you buy it once and then you can just use it kind of indefinitely. I think you get a couple licenses with that purchase. But yeah, that's what I use. It's the most user-friendly that I mean, I had to use it for work, so I kind of got used to how it works. I like it. It seems to work pretty well. I know other people use iMovie. If I record off my phone, that's what I use because it has that app. But yeah, I know there's other ones out there. That's the one I use. Number 9, as a content creator, do you experience burnout? If so, what does that look like for you and how do you recover from that? I do sometimes get burnout, but I usually, with the book reviews, I haven't had it as much because like there's such a variety of topics that I can just like jump into. If I'm getting too burnt out on like that, then I'll find like other things to talk about. But that gives me a nice cush of content to like fall back on. And like, honestly, whenever I start to be like, oh, I don't want to do it, like I'm not motivated to do it because my numbers suck, because I do have that often. And again, you see other people just, and you're like, how? I post every day, mostly every single day. Oh my God, how? But whenever that happens, I remind myself that this is my full-time job. Creating stuff is my full-time job. Writing books, talking about books, making YouTube content for both channels, that is my job. And that, to me, is a much better job than any of the other ones I've worked at. It is better than any potential job I could take. And so if I get bored with what I'm doing, I just take that as, okay, so would you rather go back and work for corporate? No, figure it out. And so like, I'll just take a day or two off and just be like, you know what, we're gonna veg. We're gonna watch some movies, we're gonna be in the here and now, we're gonna maybe go outside, touch some grass. And then about that point, I constantly remind myself, like, do you remember how much it sucked to not have time to do this? And it's like, yeah, I do. So that is my good motivator to get out of burnout, because I really hated, like, I don't feel like driving into oncoming traffic doing this job where I did it all of my other ones. So like, to me, it's worth it. I can get over the burnout real quick when it's that, or go back to the jobs that I really hated. So it's like, we'll figure it out. We'll do something different. And as I mentioned, I can't record for long, so it's giving me the notification for overheating. I will check back in a minute, and we will continue on with tag. Alright, continuing back along here. So for number 10, which video are you most proud of and why? So one of my favorite videos of my own is a vlog that I had done back in, I want to say like 2014. It's a long time ago. But it was my first trip to Michigan. I took my camera, I recorded it, and I was just amazed at everything that Michigan had to offer. I loved the water, because like we don't have a whole lot of lakes here. They're not the same, to say the least. Here it's a desert, and over there it's very moist, and it's like, it's so different to have humidity. And like the island that we went to, Mackinac Island, like everything there, it was just so cool to go and see, and all the trees, and it was green, and it was wonderful. And I vlogged it, and I put some of my favorite music for the season over it. And then like a year or two later, all of the copyrights started to kick in and you couldn't use songs, but now they're kind of changing that with Reels, because TikTok was like, listen, shockingly, people like to put music over their lives because sometimes the music matches what they're trying to say or show the best. And so now YouTube's trying to kind of catch up with that. But initially that was what I used to do, is I would use music with my videos, and that was one in particular I was really proud of. I don't know if it's still public. It was copyright claimed, so I don't even remember anymore, but I remember I was really proud of that one for a very long time. 11, who inspires you within the magical pagan YouTube community? Obviously, our queen, Miss Kelly AnnMaddox. I love her. She is like, every time I watch her videos, I could just go down a rabbit hole watching hers. And also, to be honest, a lot of the channels I really loved are gone. So like, she's one of the few that has remained this whole time. And like, while she occasionally has some B-roll, for the most part it isn't. For the most part, her content is not this big production that unfortunately a lot of people do. And like, while it's pretty to watch, it doesn't feel genuine anymore. And I like my content to feel genuine. I want to feel like I'm just sitting down chatting with another witch and we're making the world a smaller place. And I get that with Kellyanne. Number 12, are there any channels you would recommend? Well, obviously, Kelly AnnMaddox. Ivy's Grove, she's got a few videos out now. Also, probably, I don't know how many of her videos she still has public, but if you can ever find videos from Pigiption, I still love her content. Joey Morris is also a really good one, and she's one I've watched for years. Like, I think, yeah, at least right around the same time. Like, she's been around for a long time too. I do sometimes watch like the Kitchen Witchery channel, I think or the Witch's Cookery or something like that. Her videos are really a production, but they're really pretty if you want to watch that. Number 13, do you believe there are misconceptions about being a magical pagan YouTuber? I mean, I feel like there is this thing that like, we kind of get lumped into this idea that like, we're all just for the aesthetics, which is like, have you seen my channel? I have a mirror that has a dream catcher that I don't know what I'm gonna do with hanging off of it. I have just my hodgepodge of chaos. Like, there's chaos of piles down here. Like, this is just where I have a corner with some light to record with. But like, there are others that are very like, just the aesthetics, and I can see why. It kind of gives us this bad rep that like, we're just here to make it look pretty and to be Instagrammable basically. And like, there's others of us who are like genuinely just trying to talk to our community, and we kind of get like shoved to the side because the aesthetics gets more views. 14, what do you like and dislike about being on YouTube? So I love making community. I've really enjoyed it. They do come and go. Over the years, I've had different people that are really supportive, they're really there for me, and then suddenly they're just gone. And you're like, okay, you're okay. Like, they'll comment, like, the second you post, they're pretty much there, definitely within the first 24 hours, and you're like, oh, cool, I can't wait to see it and have, like, a little discussion with them, oh, it's gonna be great, and then just one day they never talk to you again, and you're like, okay, that is a love-hate relationship. And then, like, the other thing is that, like, sometimes, especially when I was talking more about Norse stuff, specifically, oh my god, that particular aspect of like the pagan community is so toxic. Like, anytime I see anything on like certain videos of mine, I just like mentally brace and then I read the comment and I'm like, oh, yep, delete. Like, I just don't have the patience for it anymore. But like, there's a couple of my videos that I had to turn the comments off because it was like, the only people commenting are these like the Norse community that's super toxic. And like it's a big reason I left that community entirely, and I'm like, you know what? Anytime I would try to even consider working with that particular pantheon again, I'm probably not going to, because like the community is so bad and I'm not gonna be the one to want to change it, to be honest. Like I have bigger hills that I would rather die on than that one in particular. And so like seeing the toxicity sucks, because it used to be because I was a teen witch and everyone was like, oh my god, you're just a teenager, you know nothing. And I'm like, I've been practicing the craft longer than you though. Like I have been actively studying it. It's like a special interest of mine. So like, I think I do know more than you. I've been doing this for like 5 years, 7 years, and you've been doing it for 2. Like, I used to get those comments a lot, and now it's more of like, the most recent one has been the Reconstructionist, like, Norse community being like, nah. But the toxic communities are the things that get me. 15. What are some of the challenges and struggles you face creating on this platform, and how do you overcome them? My biggest challenge is getting the numbers. Because, like, it is so hard when you have these carefully curated channels that look so aesthetically pleasing, but like I can't be disingenuous. Like I can't. It has to just be me as is. Like I can't wear like a super fancy, like super witchy outfit just to record in. Like I can't do that. Like you get whatever I'm wearing for the day. Like today we got Baby Yoda because that's the t-shirt I grabbed this morning. And like I can't make these videos that aren't like the real me. And because of that, it hits my numbers hard. And it sucks. Like, I would love to think that the content I make matters. That the books I've written matter. And like the books I talk about matter. But like, it's the random videos that are the ones that'll kind of take off. And like, I do know that like my back catalog will eventually like pull in views, but like it doesn't. Like every day, multiple times a day, I'm sitting there refreshing the little thing on the app of like, here, I'll show you where I'm at on the YouTube Studio thing, that app. So there's a page that says, hello Night Willow Crafts, become a partner. And then you scroll down to the requirements to apply thing, and I refresh this little bar every day, multiple times a day. Because one day, it will be out of the pink, and it will be like the little checky mark above that says I have enough subscribers. But that's when I can get monetized. And like, not gonna lie, I watch some other channels, witchcraft or not, and I'm just sitting there like, but like, you got enough views to get paid? Because again, I treat this as my job. And so like, I'm watching these channels, like, a video's been up for like 2 hours. They've surpassed the view requirement on one video. And it's like, damn. Like, I know it's bad, but like, I've been doing this for so many years. There was one period of time where I got monetized for like 35 seconds and it was awesome. It was a huge motivator, and then they took it away. And then you had to have all of these numbers, and it had to be about the numbers, and it's like, and I've noticed mine have gotten a little better posting every single day, as difficult as that is, because that's why I have my mega calendar. But like, it still sucks so much to like not get that payback. But again, I treat this as a job, and like, I just have to hope that like, when people watch my content, they might be motivated to support me on Patreon or to buy my book, because I do have a witchcraft book, and like, that's how I'll make money. But also, I would really like to make money from YouTube, because like, I love to do this. I've done this for so long. Like, I can't not do it. Just like writing, I've done it for so long, and like, it's a passion of mine, and it's what I want to do for work. So like, I don't mind working every day of the week. But yeah, it's a bit disheartening to see the numbers not doing very well. And how I overcome that is I just keep doing it. Once in a while, I'll look back on my numbers and be like, see, we're doing better. It's getting there very slowly. And like, I'll look at my Patreon and I'm like, hey, there's a few people that care about my existence, that they have decided I, little old me, am worthy of money every month for the content, so I should probably post content. And that the more content I post, theoretically I could get more patrons. And like, that's a very sustainable spot, realistically, to be getting money, because like, people actively have to decide. Like, it's a lot of steps to decide that you want to pay somebody every month. And so like, being able to do that, see those numbers go up, it matters to me. And so it's like, oh my God, just keep going, trust the universe, trust it to be. It'll happen, just keep chugging along. 16, what is your opinion? Well, this is awkward. 16, what is your opinion on monetization, paywalls, and other exclusive content? Listen, I know it sucks. I used to hate it. But the thing is, I want to do this as a job. And unfortunately, job means money. And so I make a lot of free content every day. And the content I put on Patreon, it's cool if you want to support me there. I try and make it kind of worth the while, but also the main reason you're going there is because you want to support my existence. And like, you want to buy my book to support my crazy existence over here. And so like, I know people hate it, and like, I don't know. I think about it and it's like, if you have a few ads on your videos and it makes it so somebody can get paid, cool. And especially if they're like a good person. There's some people I think that you're getting monetized that probably shouldn't, not necessarily in our community, but there are a few. Not necessarily like the witch community, but pagan at large. There's a few people that probably shouldn't be getting paid. And some people really do abuse it. Like there's one channel that like, I'm gonna be real, I can't watch without having an ad block on because it's like, oh my God, dude. Like an ad every minute and a half. And it's like, why? And like mid-sentence, like word. I can't with those. I get it. Some people don't like those. They don't like any kind of pay at all. I get it. But at the same time, this is my job. This is what I do. And like, this is how I want to pay my bills, is through YouTube, books, and Patreon. So like, support me. And like, I do think I have some decent content going up on Patreon, but it's not enough to be like, oh my God, you're missing out on everything. Because some people do that. They like rarely post on their main accounts anymore, and they only post to Patreon. And it's like, that's not fair either. Like, I try and keep a healthy balance. But needless to say, I appreciate having Patreon. I think some people do overcharge for some of their tiers, and others definitely undercharge. There's a healthy mix of like, do what you're gonna do. I think mine are pretty fair priced, but you can always look and decide for yourself if you wanted to support me. All right, we'll do one more question and then let this underheat again. 17, do you have any boundaries on this platform? Why or why not? So kind of. Okay, going back to the other conversation of the toxic people, if you come at me because I'm young, female, undereducated, all of which are usually in the same sentence, deleted. Like, I just don't have the time to deal with you anymore. And they also took away the, like, ability to block channels, which I think is really stupid. So, like, you can't block them anymore, but you can delete their content. So, I mean, I guess that's something. But, yeah, that's a hard boundary, because I get those a lot, like, you're just some young, immature woman who knows nothing, and it's like, bye. Like, I just don't have the patience for it. Other boundaries is, like, I don't like to do, like, live rituals. That's just a personal boundary. I know some people don't like to show their altars. I show mine, and then I'll add my little details of like my private stuff that I don't always want to show everybody. Like active spells I usually don't show, but that's like personal preference of how I do things. I'm also not dumb enough to show my legal name. Like, I watched a video today, not in the witchcraft community. It was like for the cruising community, which is ironic because I'm never planning to go to a cruise, but like I'm just obsessed watching their content. Like, there's like 3 channels that I watch, well, 3 to 4 actually, that I watch pretty often. And one of them, this dude, I'm like, what are you doing? He showed what cruise he's on, his room, him and his fiance's legal names, and said the time kind of that they're going. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that. Like, I don't say what town I live in, let alone any details of my house that people could like figure out where I live. Like, my legal name, I think at one point I might have mentioned it here on the channel. It's changed. I have not mentioned my married name at all. Y'all are never gonna know my married name at all. That's for me and the people in my actual life to know. Y'all can learn my pen names, my channel names, stuff like that, because I have a lot of pen names, and that's it. And that is just one of those boundaries that, like, I feel like that's like a safety thing that like people forget. And like, I don't also talk about like active spells. And also, like, I don't, again, where I live, what car I drive, stuff like that. Like, some people will show that in their videos, and I'm like, what are you doing? but I also have a lot of anxiety and I just worry about that. Like, even recording outside, like, I usually try and pick places that are, like, not near me at all so that you couldn't trace where I am. Because I'll watch these vloggers. I've watched, like, a Disney vlogger. He lives in kind of my area. There's a lot of little cities right next to each other that honestly, they kind of blend. And he was driving on one of our major roads and I'm like, I know exactly where you are. Exactly. Like, I've driven on that road a billion times in my life. Oh my god, you are here. Like, it's a weird thing, but it's also like, it's a boundary for me to be like, okay, if I can recognize his stuff, people can recognize it for me too. Even though my content's like really small in comparison. But there's still weirdos out there. And so, yeah, those are just some of my boundaries. All right, let's let this cool down and then continue along. Continuing along with question 18. Do you have any current goals for your channel? Obviously, yeah. I would love to see my channel get to like 5,000 subscribers because it has been stagnant at about 2,000 for years. Right around the 2K mark, sometimes above, sometimes below. It'd be nice to get to the next milestone because it's been here since like 2014, 2015, right around that 2K mark for so long. And like, I know if I would have put this amount of effort that I am now, then it would be different, but live and learn. So I'm doing it now. And yeah, I would love to see 5,000 subscribers. I would like to get to like maybe 100 Patreon supporters because these two things are linked to me. And then also I would just like to get monetized. That would also be lovely. Question 19, what are some of the mistakes you've made and how did you fix them? I gave up a lot of community because I didn't know what I wanted my content to be. So for a long time, like, as these very high production type channels were coming up, I didn't feel like I had space to talk. And like, again, getting these comments constantly, and to be honest, it's gonna sound a little mean, but it's always been this way, still to this day. It's middle-aged old white dudes every time that just belittle me constantly. And again, it used to be because I was a teenage witch, so I felt like maybe I should just wait until I'm older. I don't know why. It didn't make any bit of difference, but like, apparently add a decade on there and it suddenly my words matter. I don't know. But yeah, like those comments, they really hit home, and I just felt like I didn't know what my content should be, and I didn't want to, like, I didn't know what to talk about. And like, I didn't want to be a sellout channel and do the same thing everybody else was doing because it was super saturated. How was I going to stand out? And I just got so tired of trying and seeing like no results that I would just give up. And then I would really want to come back to the channel. And like, I never officially abandoned it, but there would be months where I wouldn't post. And then I'd make a post like, what should I talk about? And then people would be like, just whatever, like, we're here to support you. And then eventually those people would stop commenting that every time. And it'd be like different people every once in a while. But like, if I would have just stuck with it, it could have been better. But I also don't know that I would have done things differently. And so like now, I try to plan out my content, and again, I just remind myself this is my job. And like, jobs are hard sometimes. Sometimes it is difficult to come up with content, but again, having the book reviews, it gives me a lot of ideas. Because if I decide I really like a book, I could start going down that rabbit hole of content, or I can always fall back on like the classics, talking about some stuff. Like, when I go to the basic witch stuff, you know that I have hit my wall of I don't know what to talk about, so we're going to the basics. That's your behind the scenes notice that I sometimes don't know what to talk about, so I'm like, alright, why should you use a cauldron? And that's what we're gonna talk about. Like, when I don't have very niche topics to talk about, which is probably why my content doesn't do very well, whatever. That's usually when you know that I don't know what to talk about, so that's how I fix it. 20, what are some of the ways your channel has grown since your first video? Well, I mean, I do have subscribers. I do get comments every once in a while from people, which is awesome. Usually I only get like 1 to 3 comments per video, but like it is more than I used to when I very first started. I also feel like overall my content has just gotten better. I used to use a webcam back in those days, and now I have a very expensive, if not old, but still expensive camera that I use, plus my phone, and I have a GoPro, and like I have different stuff, but like it's come a long ways since then. And like typically my videos every day, I know I can pretty much count on 10 views, which is still, I say those numbers and it does hurt the soul, where like I can be so excited that it hit 20s or 30s, sometimes even 40s, but usually those are the reels or the shorts or whatever they're called on this app. Like those do better than full-length content, and it's like, okay, sure, keep chugging along, it's fine. 21, have you ever wanted to quit making videos? Why or why not? Yeah, so I have anxiety, and sometimes I will wake up paralyzed with fear that like, you could recognize me in the world. I could be shopping, getting my groceries, or like picking up my groceries, because to be honest, I rarely go into stores anymore. And one of you could recognize me. And like, while some people love that, that terrifies me. I'm an introvert. And so it's like, well, I want to be more well known. I want to have my numbers up. I want to be making money. I want to have this community. The idea that one of these days, you're gonna know all this stuff about me. I'm gonna not know who you are. If you tell me your username, I might be like, oh yeah, you. If you talk to me often, I will know you. But like, otherwise, it's a one-way relationship that's really weird. And like the idea that you could know where I am, and then it's like, oh my god, like the anxiety kicks in, like, okay, you can't know what car I go to. Like, I would love to trust everybody, but there's freaking psychopaths out there, so no. And like, then I'd be like paranoid, like, oh my god, like I can't walk in my neighborhoods anymore. Like, my anxiety gets through the roof, and honestly, I don't know that I'll ever get that famous. But like, I mean, there's people like on TikTok that like, what's her face, Ophelia? She's had people go to her house. And it's like, do not ever approach my house, ever. That's weird. Stop. No. If you see me in public, maybe say hi, and then make sure I know that you're not following me to my car. Like, I have anxiety, so I worry about that. So that kind of stuff makes me be like, oh my god, I shouldn't be on camera. I should just redo all of my videos and just have it set at like the altar or something. That's a safer bet. And then I'm like, oh my god, you can't live in fear either. And then I go back to sleep. And then usually sleep can reset the anxiety. And if not, I just keep doing what I do because I have anxiety all the time. I've also considered quitting because my views and my numbers suck so bad all the time. And like, it is hard to keep going when your numbers suck. But I have to remind myself that had I stuck with any of my projects all this time, I would have had success. If I would have kept on my publishing schedule as planned clear back in 2014, I would have had 9 books published by now, if not more. And like, I also, if I would have kept up my content, I probably would have kept a larger community at this point, because that would have been several years of consistent posting that I'm doing now. And so it's like, well, we can't give up, but like, it does suck a lot. And like, sometimes I've wanted to quit because the numbers just sit there and do nothing, and you're like, great. I'm so glad. Like, you spend days reading a book, recording your video, editing, uploading, scheduling, and then it gets like 9 views, and you're like, okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. And like, there's certain series, like my tarot series, it tanks my numbers so bad that I'm like, you know what? Bye. I might touch you at a later time. Again, when the burnout kicks in and I don't know what to talk about, it's like, I'll pick you back up at that point. Because right now, it's not worth it. The numbers never do well enough to make it worth my while. Book reviews, they stand alone on their own. They do pretty well. Even if they don't initially do well, when I look back, those are my videos that gets the most views. That and Book of Shadows. People really like to look at Book of Shadows. But like, other than that, like, I have to remind myself that it's like, if I quit, what am I gonna do instead? And it's like, well, that's gonna suck, so we'll keep trying. 22, what do you wish you knew before starting your YouTube channel journey? Good camera, have a purpose, consistency is key. 23, do you post on any other platforms? If so, what are they? Pretty much all of them. I post a bit on Facebook, not as popular, honestly. I don't go on Facebook very much anymore because I don't want to pay to have to promote my content. and you get lost. And like, honestly, I don't go on that app very much anymore because there's so many ads. Like, there's so much content that like I don't want to see, and like I don't want to have ads in suggested groups. It's like, why don't you show me the groups that I'm in and the pages that I've already liked and my friends' posts, and instead you just get sponsored content and that's all that app is. And it does bother me. I'm on Instagram a lot more. I know it's the same company. I know it's the same thing. I know that it also has sponsored content, but it is tailored better. Their algorithm is better. Also, I like to take pictures a lot, and that's definitely still the app of pictures. I know Reels is trying to be a thing over there. It's pictures, but I post over there quite frequently. I also share a bunch on my story all the time over there, and then I also am on TikTok quite a bit. And yeah, those are kind of my three main places. I post sometimes like TikTok specific content, but it's more like, this is the book in real time that I'm reading, because again, my mega schedule, I don't read in order. And so I will be like, this is the book I'm reading, whoop-de-doo. And then sometimes I'll talk about it on Instagram. Once in a while I'll remember to post it to Facebook, but honestly not very often. And then it's here, and that's about it. Oh, and then like, Patreon. I post there weekly, so quite a bit. 24, do you have any advice for those wishing to create a channel? Plan your life. Plan to have your content going up. You have to have consistency if you want to make a good channel. It's really, consistency is key. If you post very sporadically and randomly, you're not going to get a dedicated audience. That's not how to do this. And like, also maybe try to be a genuine person. Like, just be genuinely you, and eventually people will like you for you, and you don't have to keep up a facade of like being somebody else. And 25, who will I tag? I'm gonna tag AnnMaddox. I know people have a long list. But yeah, if you want to do the tag, you can be tagged. But Kellyanne, if you wanted to do this, or Joey. I would love to hear Joey's perspective too. Because again, we've been doing this for a long time. So I would love to hear those two's thoughts for these. Because like, get behind the scenes from those two would be interesting. So there we are. We finally made it to the end of this very long video. And yeah, so until next time, thank you to my patrons. I've mentioned them a few times. They're over here now. So if you would like to support me and get access to my Patreon only content, right now I'm currently going through Outer Temple of Witchcraft on one tier. I've got my audiobook on a lower tier, so top tier gets all of the stuff. I have my audiobook going up every Thursday, and then I have some random extended discussions when there's a book that I have a lot of things to talk about. Those videos go up. Sometimes it's just a post. Sometimes it's a video because I'm tired and I don't feel like typing a lot. So I'm like, we're just gonna record and you're gonna deal with the fact that like, I am not the greatest at reading out loud. I've gotten better, especially doing my audiobook. That was rough. But like, sometimes sentences just don't work. And then I also do a bi-monthly discussion of like just random behind the scenes stuff, personal life stuff of what I'm up to. And I kind of set intentions for the month, and then halfway through the month we reflect on those things, and if people wanted to join in, they could. If not, you can just follow along for what my crazy life is looking like a little bit. Of course, if you wanted to buy my book, you could do that too. It is The Death Journey. My pen name is Raven Wells. That just barely came out, so if you wanted to check it out, it's available as an ebook, paperback, and hardback, all available on Amazon. I know, some people don't like Amazon, but like, listen, as a self-published book author person, that's the place to be. Until I can learn how to make my own cover and not have a cover design program, that's where it's gonna be. But if you would like to support me, that's a great way too. And you can always find the link to that down below, or just search it on Amazon. Till next time, thank you so much for coming along for this very long video, and I'll see you all soon. Blessed be.